Hi, I'm Cameron Graham Vivanco.
And I'm Laura Jennings Estevez.
And we're back together again.
Hi.
This is a synopsis of the presentation of July 25th, 2021 at the Church of the Advent.
So we hope that you enjoy it. You're going to see a lot of, the screen will mostly be filled with images as we talk behind it and sort of tell you a little bit about our ministry.
And as always, the point and the purpose is to keep you informed and to say thank you, Advent, for all that you do for us and for all of these ministries in Ecuador.
It's an incredible blessing to be part of this community.
So you will see that the Episcopal Church of the Advent is at the very top of the screen because Laura and I both came out of the Church of the Advent. I was the youth minister in 1995 to December 2000. And you?
I was part of the Advent since I was born and baptized into the church. And then I went to college and served in Ecuador for a while, and then came back and worked for the Advent from 2013 to 2017, doing a couple different roles, and then was sent out again from the Advent to work in Ecuador with Casa Gabriel.
You'll see in the middle there's a symbol E=H. That's the logo for Education Equals Hope, which is the ministry that Laura and I get to pour into together from different sides. I'll start with the Vivanco side. This is my family, Graham, Liam, and Francis, my husband, Roberto. We have lots of different jobs in Ecuador, including my husband being the music minister or worship pastor at a non-Episcopal church, but a wonderful, wonderful church called English Fellowship Church in Quito, Ecuador. It's an international church. There are at least 15 nationalities present each Sunday. He's on the board of elders as well as on staff. But he and I together run Education Equals Hope, which is a nonprofit 501c3 here in the U.S. that exists to provide for the education of those in desperate and difficult situations, kind of like the young men at Casa Gabriel and at Second Chances. But you'll hear about that from Laura in a second. Education Equals Hope. We are now in 5 different countries. We have 13 sites inside the country of Ecuador, including Casa Gabriel and Second Chances. And we have 346 students in school, or did this last school year, 2020, 2021, have just gone on break. During this last year of COVID, development work, the scholarship program is development work. We've also pivoted to do relief work. Our students, the vast majority of them do not have bank accounts. Their families do not have bank accounts. They have no access to money once they run out of the cash that's in their home. If there's martial law, as there was in COVID, and you're not allowed to leave your home, it's very difficult to go work. It's very difficult to find the cash for things like food and medicine, transportation. So we pivoted to relief work. This is a picture of some of the food bags that were created through Education Equals Hope for distribution. This is in an Episcopal church. And then a picture of another one of our Episcopal churches that we were able to visit. You can see the masks in that picture. This is another one of those 13 ministry sites inside of Ecuador. This one is out in the rural area with the indigenous population of the Quechua. And again, food distribution, sometimes cooked meals that are handed out and sometimes bags of food that are handed out, but meeting the needs of people where they are. Another part of our ministry is our Hopecast. It is a podcast dedicated to keeping those of you who help support and make Education Equals Hope possible, keeping you informed. You can find us on iTunes, on Amazon, on Spotify, on any of your favorite podcast players. You can Google Hopecast or Cameron Vivanco, and the thumbnail should come up. And then this last picture for us is our picture of our scholarship distribution. You see those gold coins, those are actually American dollars. They're called Sacagawea dollars. They're not used a whole lot in the United States, but they are U.S. tender, and we use them a lot in Ecuador. And these are the different receipts that each family will come, pick up their money, their $5, that's what they get that week, or maybe even that month. It's just that little tiny bit that makes it possible for a young person to stay and be in school. Even through COVID, we've had to pivot to help costs like internet and data, tablets, phones, Our students do not have internet in their homes. Most of them are trying to go to school on a smart-ish phone. There are 4 of them trying to use one phone, and all of their instruction was over Zoom or Facebook or the radio or WhatsApp. And you have helped make that possible. Thank you, Advent, so very much for all that you do for the Vivanco family and for the work and ministry we do through Education Equals Hope. Laura, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Hi, as you can see on the screen now, that is our family. Jorge is my husband, and then my 2 kids, Samuel 6 and Karina 4. You will see that Casa Gabriel is now part of a larger ministry that Jorge and I have begun together to envision of Second Chances Ecuador. When Jorge and I were sent out as missionaries from the Advent in 2017 with a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old, we went to be house parents of Casa Gabriel. That ministry was an incredible part of our life and story, as it was one of the ways that Jorge and I met for the first time. Casa Gabriel is a training ministry for young adult men that are at risk situations. From there, after Jorge became the director of Casa Gabriel in 2020, we really felt God calling us to reach more people than just the men in the house. And so from there, we had this vision of starting day centers, and that was even increased with the pandemic and the lack of access to education. Cameron and Education Equals Hope have been an incredible tool to help us be able to get education to the boys of Casa Gabriel, and then now to these day centers, as the Advent has participated in fundraisers and helping us to support the education of Casa Gabriel, and now in the day centers. And these day centers that we were able to start in 2020 in October, there are 2 communities in Quito, Ecuador, that are through churches, and now they are benefiting over 50 students that can come and have access to internet, they can have access to tutoring, and they can have access to a social worker as well as a psychologist for other needs that they might have. And their spiritual development is a huge part of that, as well as all of our centers are connected to churches. And those are just during the day with children and youth from 6 years old to 18 years old. The other part of that is secondhand stores. And we saw this idea of helping those that are involved in all of the other places of ministry needing work experience. And so secondhand stores is a really neat way to be able to take on clothes and things that people no longer use, have an income for all of these ministries, as well as job and work experience for the young men at Casa Gabriel, as well as some of the students from the day centers. So that is our vision for that. What you can see on the slides is a picture of our 2 different centers. The one on the left side is the one in Comité de Pueblo, which is a neighborhood in Quito, and the one on the right is in El Edén del Valle. The next slide shows a family that we were able to distribute a basket of love to. Just as Cameron was talking about with Education Equals Hope, we had the boys at Casa Gabriel put together bags of rice and oil and the things that families would need when they couldn't get out during the pandemic. And this really helped to save families from starvation in a lot of ways. And so it was a huge thing to be able to do. One of our visions going forward in the future is to see 2 more centers starting in the coast. There are 2 communities that we've connected with the pastors there, and they are under-resourced, and the children on the coast have almost all had to drop out of school because it was all online and they had no access to internet. But with these 2 communities, we want to start 2 new centers for these children that would actually help them to be back in school and not lose an entire another school year, as many of them did last year. That's in Sua, in Same, and the 2 little boys that you see on the screen are just a representation of that. And I'd also like to tell you just a quick story about one of the young men at a center that when he started coming, he was hyperactive. He was hard to sit down. It was hard for us to help him to know what his needs were. And what we came to find out through our social worker is that his mom would leave him on the weekends. And so on the weekends when he was left, for days at a time, his neighbors would sometimes be there to take care of him, but it was a young boy of only 8 years old. As he continued to come to the center, he was able to have intervention with our social worker, who could talk to his mom and say, hey, that's probably not the best idea, and how can we help you and equip you so that you can actually take care of your son? And how can we help your son and his needs for school? What you see now, 8 months later, is a different person. An 8-year-old that is confident, is excited about school, and excited about learning. And that's just with one person. And we know that through Education Equals Hope, through Second Chances, through the ministry that Cameron and I are doing, we see that life transformation in so many ways. And so we just invite you to be part of it, to continue to be a part of it, because you have been a part of it for the last 20 years when Cameron first left, and now with the amazing things that have really come to fruition in these last 20 years, that you have been a part of it, and we thank you for what you're doing, and we encourage you to continue to be a part of it, because you are an incredible community, and we love you very much.
There are 5 upcoming physical ways for you to be a part of what the Advent's already doing. Again, we want the Advent to hear corporately, thank you. Thank you, leadership. Thank you, Ned and Paula. Thank you, Zach and Caroline. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Janelle. People who make the communication possible. Thank you, Advent, corporately, and thank you so much for the individuals who make our ministries possible. Please continue to pray, and thank you so much for the emotional support. There are 5 opportunities coming up in the next calendar year for you to come to Ecuador and see this with your own eyes. The first is in October 21 to 26. That's a vision team. Those are individuals from all over who come together to form a team to do a quick in and out to come see what we are up to. A second vision team is coming February 17th to the 22nd in 2022. The pilgrimage, out of Pilgrimage, they're happening to come to Ecuador this year with Caroline and Zach. That'll be in June. Also, a mother-daughter team is coming in June, or I think it might be an all-call female team. You guys will hear more about it. And an adult team is still in the works for fall of 2022. So one of those 5 ways. And now for the really important stuff that we don't get confused about. This is what we had a good time on Sunday delineating. The Vivancos have a prayer card with our face on it. On the back of it, you'll see SAMS, South American Missionary Society of the Episcopal Church. It's now Society of Anglican Missionaries and Senders, because they send people all over, not just to South America anymore. But that is how you as an individual could support the Vivanco family through SAMS. So whatever's on the back of our prayer card with our face is how you can support us.
The Estevez family is through One Collective, and that is a missionary sending agency outside of Chicago, which we are connected with through the other ministries happening in Ecuador. So One Collective is the way that you can support our family.
And then a third option to support the scholarships that make the academic success of these young people happen is through Education Equals Hope. So there are 3 different pots. One has the Vivanco face on it, one has the Estevez face on it, and then E equals H is where we meet together. And if you would like to support that micro scholarship, you can go to www.educationequalshope.org. Thank you so much, Advent. We so appreciate you.
Goodbye.